What up, everybody? One day after school, Terry Flenory was at the store with his brother Meech, who was supposed to be starting a job at Wendy's, but decided to quit and got a job selling crack for a dealer named Pat. When Terry heard this news, he told Meech that he wanted to go too, but Meech said he wasn't splitting the pay with Terry. When Pat pulled up, Terry said, "That's my car," when Meech hopped in. And as Pat was pulling off, he stopped the car and told Terry to get in. Pat made the life of a drug dealer look glamorous, which was the opposite of what Terry was experiencing at home. His father Charles worked at GM and his mother Lucille worked at Wendy's, but there wasn't enough money to get by. Growing up, the Flonorys had their lights and water cut off on a regular basis, causing Terry to occasionally miss school and was even told to lie to the teachers about what happened, that he was sick, instead of the fact they had their water cut off. But even as Terry got into the game and became successful at it, one of the big differences between him and Meech was that Terry continued going to school. Terry also made the decision to live a double life, not telling his parents that he was involved in the drug game. When Terry was around 16 years old, he attended Pat's big birthday celebration with his crew, the 50 Boys, that him and his brother Meech led. And it was at this party when Terry met Maresa, a married woman married to a hustler named Boom, for the first time. Not too many days after that party, Terry was at his baby mother LaWanda's house getting ready to meet up with Meech when LaWanda asked Terry to get Terry Jr.'s pacifier out of the car. It was at this time when Terry was shot in the side of the face and immediately rushed to the ER. To this day, we don't know for sure who it was who shot Terry in the side of the face. It is believed by most that Lamar the Beast Silas shot Terry, but it was never confirmed. A dealer named J-Mo was also killed by 50 Boy B. Mickey in retaliation as well. After getting shot in the face, Terry had to undergo 2 surgeries. After the first surgery, his vision was just fine. But after the second surgery, Terry lost vision in one of his eyes. Because of this, the Flonorys filed a malpractice lawsuit against the hospital. While in the hospital, we got to see 2 sides of Terry Flenory and some important details to keep in mind. This was the first time LaWanda began pressuring Terry about getting out of the game. LaWanda told Terry that she was scared, but Terry's response to LaWanda was that he's not getting out the game, he loves the game, and he's really good at it. But later when Meech went to talk to Terry, Terry specifically told Meech, quote, "I'm scared, Meech." This lets us know that the only person that Terry truly ever felt comfortable enough letting his guard down and completely being himself around was his older brother Meech. He had to pretend to be something he wasn't around his parents. And in the streets and around everyone else, Terry has to be strong and hard. But around his brother Meech, he could actually be vulnerable and be himself. Then once Terry recovered, him and Meech had plans to move on from working with Pat. They ended up connecting with a queenpin named Big L, but Big L refused to work with Meech. It would only work directly with Terry. But it was around this point in time when Terry began having second thoughts about being in the game. It was also around this time when the local cops started a task force called Drano, targeting Ecorse and River Rouge, where the 50 Boys normally hustled. Because of this, to unload the 5 keys that they got from Big L, they had to move into a new territory. This is when Terry first met a local dealer named Saint, who worked for Boom, whose territory the 50 Boys were hustling on. But Meech was able to work things out with Boom, and Terry went back to Big L, this time for 10 more keys. It was also around this point in time when Terry won his settlement with the hospital and was rewarded $230,000, which was around $150,000 after fees. But the date being sometime in the 1980s, that $150K would be worth about $300K or more in 2024. Around this same time, Terry was surprised to find out that his baby mother, LaWanda, was leaving Detroit for a little while to move with her uncle in Pennsylvania, a tactic that Lucille and LaWanda used after Charles and Lucille found out that Terry was in the game to try to get him out. And it worked. Then Terry told Meech that he was out the game, that he was going legit and using his settlement money to start a car service with his father, Charles. Then one day, Terry saw Boom's wife, Maresa, again at a basketball game. The big difference from the first time he saw her being the fact that his baby mother, LaWanda, was out of the picture and had been gone for some months. This caused Terry to start pursuing a married woman. And around this same time, LaWanda just got back from Pennsylvania. But it was too late. The damage was already done, and Terry had began falling for another woman. Things became even worse when Terry overheard LaWanda and his mother Lucille talking and found out LaWanda leaving was just all a part of a plan to get him out of the game. Because of this, Terry began doubling down his pursuit of Marquisha. The two went on a shopping date together and then a lunch date. Also around this time, the Flenory family car service expanded by hiring a third driver, a lady named Denise. But then Terry's brother Meech got shot, which caused everything to shift for Terry. Up to this point, he had been out the game and still attended high school. But when Meech couldn't run business, Terry took it upon himself to take over the business, not trusting Meech's lieutenant, B. Mickey, to do the job right. Terry then used his new connection with Marquisha to find out where Boom was going to be at. When Terry showed up, he convinced Boom to front him 5 keys in the middle of a drought. Because things were hot in the D, Terry decided to use his driver Denise to deliver the bricks to Michigan State. But on the way to make the delivery, Denise was pulled over and arrested with the weight. This caused Terry and Meech to flee Detroit and go to Atlanta to regroup. But before leaving for Atlanta, Terry went to see Marquisha one last time when the two hooked up for the first time. In Atlanta, Terry and Meech were able to come up in a dice game where they bought 5 keys from a guy they knew from Detroit living in Atlanta, Ty Washington. Because Ty had a friend who knew how to turn 5 keys into 10, Terry gave him his pink slip to his car to learn that trick. And this goes all the way back to young Terry telling Meech that he was going to have a car like Pat's one day. So Terry definitely didn't want to give up his car, but he did. And in the processing, telling Meech that he was 100% back down again with what Meech was now calling BMF. When Terry got back from Detroit, his teacher from school went to check on Terry at home to get Terry caught up on his schoolwork. And it was at this point Terry made the decision that he wasn't going back to school, that the school route was too slow for him. Terry also decided to cash out of the car service business as well, getting 100% back into the game. Terry continued seeing Marquisha also, and one night at a hotel room when the two were together, Detective Von Bryant and Detective Veronica Jen got pictures of the two hooking up. Then Terry and Meech got the break of a lifetime. Meech secured a meeting with a Colombian connect named Cena. And when the brothers returned back to Detroit, they had 300 kilos waiting on them. But while Terry was now at the top of the food chain of Detroit kingpins, his personal life was going downhill. The cops used the pictures of Terry and Marquisha to try to get LaWanda to flip on Meech and Terry. LaWanda had also recently just found out that she was pregnant with Terry's second child. And either though LaWanda stayed loyal and didn't stench, it did begin causing problems between Terry and LaWanda. And Terry began making his relationship with Marquisha public after her husband Boom was arrested. But this didn't sit well with Boom's crew, specifically his soldier Saint, who never liked the Flenory brothers to begin with. And at Hair Wars, as Marquisha and Terry were leaving, Saint warned Terry to stay away from Boom's wife. But Terry didn't take heed to Saint's warning and continued his relationship with Marquisha, resulting in Saint shooting up Terry's vehicle at the end of season 2 with Marquisha getting shot. Fast forwarding to 2005, when we know that Terry will get arrested in St. Louis, Missouri by none other than Detective Von Bryant, leaving a 15-year gap to see what happens between time. Starting out with BMF Season 3 just 2 days away, dropping March 1st. And there you have it. Leave your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments.